Hello students, welcome once more to online video class for ICSE class 10th computer applications. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic, that is constructor overloading and the difference between constructor and a method. Along with these two topics, we will also discuss what is exception and exception handling and the use of this keyword. So starting with the first topic, that is constructor overloading. In the previous chapter method we had discussed method overloading or function overloading. In case of function overloading, we design many functions with the same name, but these functions will have either different number of arguments, or if the number of arguments are same, then their data type should be different. The same criteria is used for constructor overloading also. Since constructor is also like a function, so whatever rules we follow for method overloading, same rule is followed in constructor overloading also. So in case of constructor overloading, we design many constructors with the same name, that of the class name, but these constructors will have either different number of arguments, or if the number of arguments are same, then their data type should be different. Only then compiler can distinguish the difference between these two constructors at the time of calling. So example of constructor overloading you can see from the screen. I have already designed a code here. So please see the code. Here class name I have mentioned cons underscore overload, means constructor overload. Two variables are declared here, int a and int b. So these two variables are instance variables. Now this is the default constructor and this is the parameterized constructor. So two constructors are made in the same class. You know that the name of the function should be same as that of the class name. So in both the constructors you can see the name of the function is same as that of the class name, but their number of arguments should be different. So here we don't have any argument, blank parameter list, but here this constructor is receiving two arguments, x and y, of integer type. Now the objective of constructor is only to initialize the instance variables or data members of the class. So here in the beginning we have declared two instance variables a and b. By default a and b are initialized with the values 0, 0. That is the default value of integer type. But in case of default constructor, we initialize the instance variables with the predefined value of our choice. So I have initialized a with 5, b with 6. Now in case of second constructor, that is parameterized constructor, when we execute this constructor, since it is parameterized, it will ask two values from the users. So two values will be stored in x and y, and a and b will be initialized with the values of x and y. So both the constructors have same objective of initializing a and b. In case of default constructor, we initialize a and b with any constant value of our choice, but in case of parameterized constructor, we initialize the instance variable with the values taken from the user's choice. Now one more method is designed in the same class, that is display method. Display method has only one statement. We are going to print the values of a and b. So this is the program You can see here we have two constructors and one method. The difference between constructor and method is clear here. In case of method, return type is compulsory, which is void here. But in case of constructor, return type is missing. So we don't have here either void or any return type. So both the constructors don't have any return type and the method has return type. Now to run display method, since display is non-static method or instance method, so we need to create object of the class. Only through the object we can run display. Now you know that when we create object of the class, at that time constructor is automatically called. Object can be created by two methods, object supplied by compiler and object supplied by programmer. So I will explain here object supplied by compiler or compiler created object. When we right click on the class icon, then the first option displayed in the shortcut menu is new, then space, class name. Since we have two constructors here, both the constructors have same name as class name. So by right clicking on the class, we will get two options because both the constructors will be called at the time of creating object. So we have to choose between these two. If we pass any argument, then we need to select second one. If we don't want to pass argument, then we need to select first one. So when we select the first one, then after execution of this block, A and B will be initialized with 5 and 6, and after creation of object, when we run display method, then value of A and B will be 5 and 6. But at the time of creating object, when we select the second constructor, so it will ask two values in x and y. So whatever values we provide in x and y, A and B will be initialized with those values, and after that when we run display we will get the values taken from the user. So this is the explanation of the program. Now see, I am going to execute it. So when we right click on the class, please watch it carefully. We have two options. First option is displayed new cons underscore overload with blank parameter list. Second option is new cons underscore overload with two parameters int x comma int y. So you know that at the time of creation of object, this is the compiler created object. So when we right click on the class, we are getting two options. The reason is, see the code once more. You know that when we create object of the class, constructor is automatically called that time. Since in this class we have two constructors, this one and this one. First one is not receiving any argument, second one is receiving two arguments. So that is why we are getting two options. Now we have choice whether we want to select first one or second one. So in case we select first one, which has no argument, so default constructor will be called. So in this case, when this block will run, A and B will be initialized with the values predefined in this block, that is 5 and 6. So that I am going to run now, selecting the first option, that is default constructor. So it will not ask any argument, just we need to select OK. Now you can see at the bottom left corner of the screen, red color rectangular object is created. After right clicking on the object, now you can see display method is visible. So when we run display method, it will print the values of A and B. So only one statement we have here in the display method, printing A and B. So which value of A and B will print? Just now I have explained, we are executing the default constructor. So A and B will be initialized with 5 and 6. So obviously 5 and 6 will print. Now after right clicking on the object, selecting display method, now you can see value of A and B is 5 and 6. Now if we right click on the class and this time we select the second option, which is again a constructor, but actually it is a parameterized constructor. It will ask two values, one in x, second in y. Suppose first value is 10 and second value is 20. After selecting OK, now you can see second object is created. Now when we right click on the second object and choose display method, so whatever value we have taken from the user in x and y, that is 10 and 20. See the code once more. So when x is 10, y is 20, then A will be initialized with 10 and B will be initialized with 20. So now when we run display method, it will print 10 and 20. So right click on the object and select display method. You can see value of A and B is 10 and 20. So this is the example of constructor overloading, where we have more than one constructor. First one is default constructor, second one is parameterized constructor. I hope this topic should be clear to you now. Let us close this class now and close this terminal window. Now this object we can remove. We have seen the result, so no need of this. Now the next topic of today's session, that is difference between constructor and method. In board examination, only two differences are asked between constructor and method, or in any topic of ICSE syllabus. Whenever they are asking differentiate between, then you need to write only two differences, because it is a 2-mark question. Sometimes they are giving in the question that give two differences, but if it is not mentioned, then you need to write two differences. Here I have mentioned 5 differences. You can write any two of them. Constructor has the same name as that of the class name, but method has different name as the class name. Constructor does not require to be called from the main class, but method is called from the main class. It means one method can be called from another method, but constructor is not called like normal methods. Reason is, constructor is automatically called when the object of the class is created. So we need not call constructor separately. Constructor does not return any value. Actually, constructor does not have return type. Return type is missing. But in case of function, some functions does not return a value. In that case, return type is mentioned as void. But some functions return a value of a particular type. In that case, instead of void, we write the data type, which value is returned by the function. Fourth point, constructor is usually public, but method can be public, private or protected. And the last topic, constructor is used only to initialize instance variable. This is the objective of creating constructor. We only want to initialize the instance variable of the class. No other activity is done inside a constructor. But in case of method, methods are designed for specific work, sometimes for taking input, for doing processing, or for printing the output. So this is the difference between constructor and method. Now, the next topic is exception and exception handling. The unexpected situation during the execution of a program is known as exception, or in other words we can say runtime error. You are familiar with runtime error. In case of runtime error, your program compiles, but when you execute the program, that time you experience some errors. Some irritating message is displayed on the terminal window in red color. Nobody likes to see that irritating message, but sometimes it happens. So these errors or exceptions can appear because of three reasons: due to wrong input, due to processing, or due to output. So at the time of input, at the time of processing, or at the time of output, we can experience runtime error. So that is the definition of exception. Runtime errors are known as exception. Now, how exception is handled in Java? Exception is handled in Java using the following keywords, which is throw, throws, try, catch. In board examination, they are asking only the selected questions from this topic, like what is exception, which keywords are used to deal with the exceptions. Programs are not asked, but to explain it, I would like to explain this topic with one sample program so that concept should be clear to you. I have already designed a class here. Now see the code here. With scanner class, I have designed a program to accept two integers and divide first integer by second integer and print the quotient value. So first we need to accept two values from the users in A and B. Now D equal to A by B, which will receive the quotient. Then we are printing value of D. This is the sample program. You can see this program is compiling. Now imagine when we run this program, when we can experience runtime errors. Suppose we have given a message to enter two integers, but user is entering a double value or string value or a boolean value. So in that case there is type mismatch. So that is the reason of input error during the execution of program, or we can say runtime error. So the reason of runtime error can be when we enter wrong data type value in A or in B. Second type of runtime error can be experienced during processing here. When we divide one integer with another integer, when the denominator is 0, then you know that it is not defined. So when the second argument is 0, that time when this line will execute, then we can experience again runtime error, that is division by 0 error. So in this program we can have errors or runtime errors at three places. During the time of input, either A can experience runtime error or B can experience runtime error if we enter a wrong data type value. And during processing we can have runtime error when the second argument is 0. But if both the values are valid, then there will be no error, we will get the result. Now let us run this program. So first time I am entering the valid value here. Suppose first value is 4, second value is 3. Both are integers, so no problem during input. When we press enter key, the quotient is 1. So it is giving the correct result, no problem. If we run the same program again, suppose first value is valid, that is 5, but second value we are entering 2.0. System needs integer value, we are entering double value. So now you can see second value was wrong here. So B is highlighted with yellow color. At the bottom of the screen you can see the reason of the error. java.util.input mismatch exception. Java.util is the name of the package. Input mismatch exception is the system class which handles this error. Now when you see the terminal window, this is the terminal window. This is the irritating message you can see on the screen. Something is written in red color. Same thing is mentioned here, java.util.input mismatch exception. When this error had occurred, you can see when we had entered the second value, that is 2.0, that time we had got this runtime error. Now see the second type of runtime error. When we run the same program again, first value is valid and second value is 0. So 5 and 0. When 5 is divided by 0, again denominator cannot be 0. So we are experiencing runtime error. Reason you can see java.lang.arithmetic exception, division by 0. Java.lang is the name of the package. Arithmetic exception is a system class which is present in this package. Division by 0 is the name of the error. Now if you see the terminal window, you can see the same error here. So to avoid this runtime error, we have a solution. We can program in such a way that these type of irritating messages will not appear even if our program has runtime error. So for that, to avoid this unexpected situation, we have to use these four keywords: throw, throws, try and catch. Try and catch are used together as a group. Try cannot be used alone, catch cannot be used alone. They are used together just like switch case. Now see, same program I am going to design with try and catch block. Inside the try block, we need to write the programming code. You can see here try block is started after creation of scanner object. So all the three parts of the program, that is input, process and output, we will write in this try block. So coding is same. After that, we need to create catch block. We can have more than one catch block or we can have one catch block. It depends on how many types of runtime errors are possible that the programmer has to design. So in this program, I had already told you, we can experience runtime error in three cases. When value of A and B is not valid, that is not integer value. If we enter any value of other type like string or double, that will be the reason of runtime error during taking input. Second reason of runtime error can be when the second argument is 0. So programmer has to know that in which situation runtime error can appear. Accordingly, he has to plan his program. So there are two reasons of runtime error. One during taking input, second during processing. So here we need to create two catch blocks. In case of catch block, we need to write catch keyword. Now in the argument list, first we need to write the system class that will deal with the runtime error. So we have seen that we can have error of input mismatch. So first we will mention system class input mismatch exception. After space, name of the object. You can give any name of the object. It is user defined name. I have mentioned E here. Now inside the body of catch block, we need to print a simple statement, print statement. So inside the double quotes, I have mentioned a statement. It is written just to inform the users where he has done wrong. What was the reason of the error? So here reason of the error is incorrect data type during input. So it will appear as it is instead of that irritating message. After double quotes we need to write plus E. E is the object name which is created from input mismatch system class. So when we print E, system will tell the user what was the reason of this error and what is the correction required. So there are two advice for the users. One advice is given by the programmer inside double quotes. Second advice is given by computer or compiler. Second, catch block is designed to deal with the processing error. So if the second argument is 0, we can have arithmetic exception, that is division by 0 error. So class name arithmetic exception, object name E. Here suggestion to the users will be second argument must not be 0. By reading that, users will come to know that this reason is because of the second argument. So they don't have to enter 0 in the second argument. And plus E, system will tell the reason. Now When we enter the valid value of a and b, that is both are integers, so during input we will not get any error. When second argument is not 0, then during processing also no error. That time we will get the result. So when there is no error during execution of program, then try block will run normally. In that case, catch block will get skipped. So out of these two catch blocks, nothing will run. Catch block will only run when any error is found during execution of program. So if we find error during execution of program at the time of input, like here, if the data type is not correct, so this reason is because of input mismatch. So that time control will transfer from this statement to the catch block, which will deal with the error of input mismatch. So we have created two catch blocks. So first catch block will run and we will get that printed message. But in case we are getting error during processing when the second argument is 0, so control will transfer to the second catch block, which actually deals with division by 0 error. So here we will get this message. Now let us see the result. So when we run the main method, when both the values are valid, that is 5 and 3, we are getting the result. So no runtime error here. First value is okay, but second value is double type. Now in this case you can see here we are not getting the irritating message. Instead of that, we are getting a message incorrect data type in input that we had printed. Now you can see the code here. Incorrect data type in input up to colon. After that E. E means value of E means java.util.input mismatch exception. Now when we run this code again, and this time we enter both the valid integers, but the second argument is 0. So here processing error we will get. So in the programming code you can see we had designed a message second integer must not be 0. So it will display as it is, and after that plus E. So E means system will tell the reason of the error. So you can see here we are getting the same result. Plus E means java.lang.arithmetic exception division by 0. So that was the example of how to deal with runtime errors. Actually, it is not in your syllabus. You don't have to create program using try and catch. I have explained it only to understand the concept of runtime error or exception and how to handle the exception. You need to study only what is mentioned in this PDF file, that is what is exception and which keywords are used to handle the exception. Now the last topic of today's session, what is this keyword, how it and when it is used. Actually this is a keyword where T is a small letter. Sometimes in a member method, it is needed to use the object on which the method is called. Java system uses it with this keyword. This is the first definition. Second definition is this keyword is used to point to the current object of the class. It means if you have already created an object of the class, for example, OB is the name of the object that you have already created. After creating the object, when you use this keyword, so this will point to the same object OB. So writing OB is same as writing this. It is also used to differentiate between an instance variable and a local variable. So there are two uses of this keyword. First one, this keyword refers to the current object of the class, and this keyword differentiates between local variable and instance variable. One more short definition we have. This keyword stores the address of the current calling object. Now the definition is over. We will see the program to understand this keyword. So I have designed a program, very simple program. Here we have two instance variables. A is initialized with 100, B is initialized with 200. Inside the display method, again I have declared two variables with the same name. But here A and B are initialized with 10 and 20. Now see the difference between this A and B and this A and B. The variables which are declared outside a method and inside a class are known as instance variables. So these are instance variables, but the variables which are declared inside a method block are known as local variables. So here it is a local variable, and these two variables are instance variables. I hope instance variable and local variable you have already studied in my previous videos. Now, if you use A and B, or if you print A and B, now the question is which value of A and B will print, local A and B or instance A and B? Actually, local variables has higher precedence than instance variables or global variables. So first compiler will search A and B inside this method block. So it will find A and B inside this method block itself. This is the reason here we will get 10 and 20. If inside the method block A and B is not present, only then compiler will go to search for A and B outside the block. In that case it will find 100 and 200. But in this case, when you print A and B, then local value will print. But suppose we want to access global values of A and B. In that case, we need to write A and B along with this keyword, that is this dot A and this dot B. I have already told you this refers to the address of the current object. To run the display method, first we need to create object because it is a non-static method. So at the time of creating object, whatever object name you have given, so when you use this, it will refer to the same object. So object is the representative of instance variables. So when you use this dot a, it means through the object we are referring to the value of a. Since object refers instance variable, object does not refer local variable. So this dot a refers 100, this dot b refers 200. So this is the simple code here. So if you want to print local variables, then you need to simply write a and b. If you want to use instance or global variables, then use this dot a, this dot b. So this is the display method. One more method we have in the same class, that is main method. In main, first object of the class is created. Now through the object ob we are calling display, that is ob dot display. So when display is called through the object, the same block will run. So we will get instance variable and local variable both. Now in the main method, second statement, that is this dot display. In this case, as I have told you, this refers to the current object and current object is already ob. So this dot display is same as ob dot display. It means both these statements will print same result. Now let us see the result. So first I am creating the object. Now through this object we have two options to run display and main. So when we run display method, then you can see local variables are 10 and 20 and instance variables are 100 and 200. Now see, this is the display method that we have executed. So first it is displaying local value, then it is displaying global value or instance variable. So it is clear that this dot a refers to the value of instance variable a, and simply writing a refers to the local value of a. Now let us clear it. Now if we run the second method, that is main, here through the same object, local variable, instance variables, they are printed two times, values are same. The reason is let us see the reason. We need the program code to understand it. So when we execute the main method, in the main you can see first object ob is created. First statement ob dot display, it means display will be called through the object ob. So when display is called, then local and instance variable will print, that is the highlighted part here. Now after that statement, the second statement, this dot display, this refers to the same object, or this refers to the current calling object. So current object is ob, so writing this dot display is same as ob dot display. So this is the reason the other two statements, that is local variables and instance variables, are printed because of second line. Now I hope all the topics that I have explained today should be understood to you. I have tried my best to explain these things in simple way. So revise whatever is explained today. In the next video, I will come with the programs of constructors. That is ICSE standard programs, how to design using constructors. Till then, take care. Thank you.